Good morning. It's Saturday, September 7th, 7:30 in the morning here in western Iowa. Welcome to the weekend. And it's chilly out there in the Midwest where I live and even further north, even colder, with some freezing temperatures this morning as promised in Minnesota. Now it will be warming up in the plains moving into the Midwest over the next few days. The cooler air moving further to the east. It's very hot in the desert southwest. We'll show you that. And lots of rain still coming down along the Texas Gulf Coast. We still have those flooding concerns from, say, Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, Florida Panhandle. But a little bit of heat in South Florida, heat advisory there. Um, some heat, but especially humidity, right? Really hot in the LA basin and central California, also along the Colorado River, California and Arizona. And then up in the Pacific Northwest, still dealing with heat advisories here. So it's red flag warnings too for higher elevations in the Cascades and into eastern Oregon. And I do believe that's still an air quality alert for southern Oregon into Idaho and parts of Wyoming. And there you see the deep blue up there in northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin. We have frost advisories and even freeze warnings. Temperatures an hour and a half ago, 6 a.m. Temperatures across the north, and you've got 50s in Montana transitioning into 40s in North Dakota, South Dakota transitioning into 30s in the northwestern part of Minnesota, and a couple pockets of freezing weather there in northern Wisconsin. So that deep blue, our temperatures in the 30s this morning, and close to freezing. So a couple places are actually below freezing this morning. So there you go. And the meanwhile, it's the hot stuff. As our weather spotlight brings us to Southern California with excessive heat across the south through Monday. So not just today, but tomorrow and Monday. Look at LA itself at 102, Covina 104, Lancaster 106, Santa Clarita and Fillmore 109 apiece. Even up the coast, Santa Maria at 89, enough for that ocean breeze, I guess, to cool things off. But San Luis Obispo at 102. So yeah, Long Beach 104. This is just hot stuff for the south, as that Santa Ana wind continues to blow in Southern California. You've got the high pressure centered over the west, and that circulation around it gives you that offshore wind. And when that happens in Southern California, it gets breezy and it gets hot. All right, surface for today. The cold front that's been heading southward and eastward will continue to head southward and eastward. And it's those really cool temperatures with that high pressure centered over Minnesota, Wisconsin. So that cool high settling in from Canada. That's where the coolest air is. And that will be transitioning to the east over the next couple of days. But just a beautiful weekend. Anyone behind that front, really. Just gorgeous today and tomorrow. And in fact, here are the highs for today. And you see around the Great Lakes, we have highs in the 60s in Michigan and into Wisconsin and even northern Ohio into Pennsylvania and New York. So, I mean, a cool day even. And then a little further to the north, and so where I live here in Iowa, we're going to be looking at 70s for highs today, like low 70s like yesterday. It was just gorgeous, another gorgeous day. Mid 70s even for Kansas and Missouri, and 80s for Texas, but still not too bad. Same for the south. Rain-cooled 70s for southern Georgia into the Florida Panhandle and even New Orleans. And then you head to the west and you see the heat. Central California and south, as we showed you. 107 Phoenix, I forget where they are. They hit over 100 day. They hit 100 days over 100, which is a record, and that streak continues. I think they're 102, 103 days, something like that. Up in the Pacific Northwest, cooling off a little bit, but still on the warm side, with that 101 for Moscow, Idaho. Lows tomorrow morning. I've got to look up that Idaho map. I think that's Moscow, but I haven't confirmed that yet. Anyway, In the Midwest is where we see the the cool air tomorrow, fall. So, we've got low to mid 40s in the Midwest, Ohio Valley, Lexington at 43, Nashville 52, just very pleasant to start the day. 40s and 50s all the way to the coast and up the coast. And the warmest air, I'd say Florida, and of course the desert Southwest with lows in the 70s, and the desert Southwest starting the day in the 80s, so still hot here. As we head to tomorrow's surface, we see our cooler air making further progress to the east. That low forming on the front and moving into Canada is going to bring some cool rain for parts of the Great Lakes up into parts of New England. It's going to be on the light side. The heaviest rain continuing along the Gulf Coast of the southeast, and then scattered showers for the Four Corners. Tomorrow's highs, we see things warming up now in the northern plains, central plains, moving further to the east. So we have 90s here in eastern Montana and western, say, South Dakota, eastern Wyoming, western Kansas, eastern Colorado, near 90. And then the highs drop off as you head further to the east, but now upper 70s to near 80 for Iowa. And then, the cooler stuff will be more into Indiana, Ohio, low to mid 70s here, and even cooler as you head into Pennsylvania, New York. Still hot, though, for the desert Southwest. Phoenix continues their streak over 100 at 106. We showed you those Southern California temperatures, and they're going to stay hot. And as we get to our 48-hour rainfall map, you see the heavy stuff is along the southeast, but we do see some rains up there in New York State and Vermont, mainly a little bit of Pennsylvania. Could see upwards of an inch here, but it really is the southeast that's the big winner. Now off the coast is where we're seeing the 4 inches plus, but even along the coast in Louisiana, again, moving into Florida, we see, over an inch, maybe even 2.5 for some places. So, really hugging the coast here. By the time we get into Monday, very cool temperatures across the upper Midwest, Ohio Valley, into the mid-Atlantic, and then, northward into the northeast. That's where our coolest air is going to be. The warm air returning to the plains as we get into next week. The heavy rains at times continues for the southeastern coast, and we do see some snow returning to our map for southwestern Colorado. I'd have to look at Durango's forecast specifically, but perhaps the mountains near Durango, certainly a little bit east of that. The Central Rockies getting a little bit of snow. It is that time of year. And getting into Monday, we see those high temperatures in the plains getting a little hotter, especially west, and then that warmer air moving east, 80s now for Iowa, but still hanging into the 70s. But you've got to go all the way into, Grand Rapids at 77, but much of the state in the 80s now. And then, you have to get into Pennsylvania, New York to get back to the 70s. But I mean, still pleasant enough for like Raleigh, North Carolina, near 80, Richmond, Virginia, near 80, near 80 for lots of South Carolina. So it's not too bad, but still hot in the desert Southwest. They're going to have to wait a couple more days to get some real relief, but it's coming. All right, here's I think I went with GFS this morning, and we'll put this in motion. So we're going to watch this low. This is the surface low here in the Gulf, and, causing these heavy rain showers. There's a slight chance, like a 10% chance, that this will develop into a tropical system. So not likely, but there is tropical moisture in here, and that's why we're seeing all this rain. And this low is finally going to move northward over time. So we see this low up here in Canada. We see, a bit of a rain for the northeast, but even that's clearing out. The cool high pressure sinking further south and then moving east. And so our cooler air is going to be moving into the Ohio Valley and to the northeast over time. And then again, we're going to see this heavier rain start to lift northward, and it's going to rain for a few days. So once we get there, so we're looking at tomorrow. This is tomorrow morning. This is tomorrow afternoon. and we see those rain showers, Florida, along the coast. As we get into, this is Monday morning, and heavy rains right along the coast. A little bit of light rain here for New York State. This gets us into Monday night, midnight-ish, early Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, and we see our low forming here. So will this turn into a tropical system? Not likely, but tropical moisture here, and it will be lifting into the United States over time. So as we get into the day Wednesday, now remember this computer model, so it's a forecast, and the further out we get, the less certain there is, but this is certainly one possible solution. So as the low starts to lift, we're seeing more widespread heavy rain moving into Texas. This is Wednesday at 15Z, so about 10 o'clock in the morning. Wednesday, and as we get into the afternoon Wednesday, that heavy rainfall moving into Louisiana, still around Houston, but pretty strong low here. Will it become a tropical storm? Maybe, but again, certainly some winds and some very heavy rain. This is Thursday early morning. As we get into the day Thursday, that low lifts through Louisiana. Heavy rain spreading into Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama. This gets us to Thursday night. Thursday night at midnight right here. Early morning Friday. Moving in the heavy rain, say from Memphis back towards Little Rock. Trailing back into Alabama, Mississippi, and the Florida Panhandle. Yeah, even across the Carolinas. But the heaviest rain here in Arkansas, lifting now into Louisiana or Illinois. But, not moving really fast. So like more heavy rain from Memphis as we get into Friday night. And then overnight Friday, heavy rain for parts of Western Tennessee, moving into Illinois and Indiana. So it's going to rain in this area for a few days, and it's going to be heavy rain too. So we'll keep an eye on that as we get into next weekend with more heavy rains for Illinois. As that low kind of dissolves, but that moisture sticks around. And Illinois, some extended period of some heavy rain at times as that moisture moves off to the north. So that'll get us through even next weekend. Those are the trends that we'll be keeping an eye on as we go. And these are the trends for the 6 to 10 day temperatures. And looks like the best chance of above average temperature now moving to where it's the coldest right now. So Minnesota, Wisconsin, parts of Iowa, northern Illinois, Indiana, you get the idea. Above average temperatures here, a good bet all the way back to New Mexico, Texas, and streaming further to the east. Now, a pocket of cool air for South Carolina, Georgia, and northern Florida, but it's just a slight chance of below average temperatures, so maybe near normal here. And there's your relief, LA, with a chance for below average temperatures for the 6 to 10 day. This is the 12th through the 16th. Precipitation-wise, our best chance of above average precipitation up there in Montana and the northern plains and parts of the Pacific Northwest. And then also for Texas and through the southeast, the driest looks like eastern, mostly just the Great Lakes, Ohio River Valley, and then moving off to the northeast as well. So those are your trends. That's kind of how our forecast looks. Kind of a sneak peek into next weekend, because we could see some very heavy rainfall moving from Houston into Louisiana, northward into Arkansas, western Tennessee, and then finally Illinois through the period of the entire next week. So that's going to be the area of concern for maybe some local flooding and whatnot. But of course, we'll keep you posted right here. Probably taking Sunday off. That's how it goes with church and all, but you never know. If I have time to pop in here, I certainly will. But we'll pick it up on Monday for sure, right here on the Weather Mic. Thanks for tuning in.